So most of my clients are between 35 and 65 years of age, and then dealing with the hormonal balances. My business is called Wild Beautiful Transformations, and it's pretty, it's near and dear. I just see life as such an incredibly wild and beautiful space, and to be able to help people transform from that place of illness and disease and just awkwardness and stress, to be able to have that hormonal harmony and be able to live their lives, their wild and beautiful lives, um, and just be light and lean and focused and aligned. That's my passion.
Just because you have spent decades in health and wellness does not make you immune from health challenges. And our special, beautiful guest today, Cami Kent, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Shauna. It's a pleasure.
Well, she has a powerful story to tell that includes ballooning up to 200 pounds and a heart attack. But all of that led to her becoming a health coach and having a profound impact on people's lives. Stay with us to the end. She's going to share some of these stories, these life-changing stories, uh, which may not have happened were it not for her journey and her rock bottom moments. So specifically, if you are struggling with menopause or weight gain, this is the show for you because Cami's gonna bring the goods, give you some powerful tips, and really just a really incredible story. So thank you, Cami. So walk us back to the becoming of a health coach. So I mentioned at the beginning that you'd been interested in health and wellness before. A lot of people come to health coaching either because they are interested in health, or usually the opposite, where they have a health challenge and that causes them to be interested in health. You actually had both. You were already into wellness, but yet still had a health challenge. So tell us your story. What happened? Where were you at
Um,
before you became a health coach?
So my journey really started with massage therapy. I've been in health sciences, and I've done and learned many different modalities, and from structural body work and myofascial release, working on the body specifically, to even to energy work, shamanic and energy healing practices, acupressure, herbology. So there's been a lot in my whole journey, and I'm just really passionate about teaching food, nutrition,
Mhm.
cooking, gardening, and just loving like the basics of life, really, and how you can be healthy and be happy and be energetic and have that beautiful life, even through these challenges.
Yeah. And so you just had this calling to help people be healthy. And then tell us, like, why did you become a health coach? Tell us what some of those so you had all of that interest already, really to help others. You
Mhm.
yourself weren't struggling with health initially when you became a massage therapist, is that right?
Yeah, I was very healthy and active and happy, and I loved the learning experience, learning about the body and the all of the incredible healing and magic that's within us. Um, I basically was sailing through my ages just with no problems at all. And I was warned by many of my older siblings and adults around me that I would be hit with menopause, and, and that was the proverbial menopause bullet. But I was really doing well, even through my 40,
Mm-hmm.
hit 40, and I was doing good, and I was a little bit cocky with my health journey at that point. And at 42, everything changed. I was hit with the menopause bullet. That definitely took the wind out of my sails. Um, I really started struggling with stress, and just felt lethargic. And even though I was tired, all the time I felt like I was unable to sleep. I had
Hmm.
insomnia. By 47, my, I mean, I had gained 15 pounds at that time. My stress levels were at an all-time high, and I literally just kept gaining weight. It was almost like I was gaining every single day. The stress, I had a few events in my life that were extremely stressful, very tragic,
Hmm.
and brought on those high levels of stress. I eventually ballooned up to 200 pounds.
Yeah.
I went to my doctor for some help. That was kind of useless. I was told that, aging and menopause is normal. There was nothing wrong with me. And at 51, I had a heart attack.
Hmm.
So that was that was my rock bottom moment. I
Yeah.
knew at that moment that I really needed to get control of my life. Um, and I just needed to start doing stuff differently. And you know, nothing against Western medicine, but there wasn't really any
Yeah.
help in
Yep.
that arena. So I used a lot of the knowledge from my education in health and wellness with the body specifically. I dove into more wanting to educate myself on the nutritional piece of it. So I had a more all-encompassing education. And from there, that was the springboard. I specialized in hormone health, gut health, and immune health. And that is what I do today. And I love it.
Such a profound story. Let's unpack it a little bit. I want to go comb through it a little bit, and just get some of those details. So that's an incredible story where you're kind of doing all the right things. Um, why do you think you the weight did balloon up to 200 pounds? Like, did you all of a sudden change your eating habits, or was it stress, it's hormones, that's the effect of it? Or if you had to, or it was late nights, or it was you were stress eating, what if you had to pinpoint, what do you think was at the root of it, knowing what you know now? Like, at the time you're like, what's going on? But if you had to look back on it now, what do you think was the cause of that?
I definitely would say the stress is the clinker brick, right?
Mhm.
That's the one thing that was really pushed everything over the edge was the really high stress. My job at that point, um, besides the health and wellness stuff, I had multiple other jobs,
Mhm.
and it was very demanding and very stressful, and it was honestly just not a good environment.
Yeah.
It was caustic. The environment was very
Yeah.
caustic.
Yeah.
So that paired with, I did have some time of really diving into depression,
Mhm.
and honestly, alcohol to drown all of the to
Yeah.
drown all the sorrows. Uh,
Yes.
I knew that that was not the answer, but it was just kind of that numbing agent because of that stress level.
Yeah. Just
So
to find some way to deal with it. Yeah.
yeah,
And, and we all look for ways to do it the best we can
right.
in that. And it's like a new playing field. Like, you could get away with things going one way in your 20s or 30s, and then but post-menopausal, or menopausal, the game the the game changed, right? All of a
Yeah,
sudden, I did this, I got this result. Now I do this. I'm not getting that result, and
yeah,
it messes with you, and and then it is not uncommon, I'm going to say, for women that are of menopausal age to have stressors. This
mhm,
is the age when all sorts of events. We are usually still in a workforce if we're working, so we
right.
have those job stresses. We can have, challenges with family, either children or parents passing away, and all sorts of things are kind of happening around that same time frame. There's moves, divorces tend to happen in and around there. Kids are out of school. Okay, that's it. We were just there for the kids, and now let's go. All sorts of things. It's not uncommon. For that to be like a perfect storm of things that are happening. And interesting for when I went through menopause, it coincided with me flying to work in Calgary. And so my body had this interesting little experiment that it was set up because on the one hand, I would be working as a doctor, same me, same age, pretty much the same nutrition in one environment by myself, and but working and like stressed and all the stress of work. And then I would fly and be home and just be a health coach, not just be a health coach, but I didn't have the same stressors. It was on my terms and that. And I had more time and I had my family and I had my supports and I could go for walks and things like that. And interestingly enough, I only got hot flashes and insomnia when I was in Calgary, when I was working. And so it was so clear, like the one big difference, as you said, was stress. That was the one. And I think people don't realize how much of a factor that is. And it impacts our whole body, obviously, and all the symptom and all the systems. You didn't just have weight gain and menopause. You got like a laundry list of other things, and you mentioned depression and so on. What were some of the other thing? What else happened? So there was the weight gain, but what other impact on your immune system or digestion or other things happened for you then?
Yeah, when I did go to the doctor to try to get help, um, I was diagnosed with serious vitamin D deficiency. I mean, I was put on like 30,000 international units a day for several weeks, and that kind of just kept going on until my vitamin D levels came up. I was also diagnosed with psoriasis, which is an autoimmune disease. Actually, was also diagnosed with leaky gut, autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic inflammation, chronic stress, obesity, high cholesterol, prediabetes. I mean, it was just like compounding. As much as the
Mm.
weight was coming on, so were all of the other
Yeah, yeah. Those
so,
those gifts, I put that in
right?
air quotes,
The
just
gifts.
kept coming. Yeah. And then kind of then COVID hit.
Yes, then even before anybody knew what COVID was, I was actually got sick with COVID. I thought I was gonna die. That was not pleasant at all. Um, I then suffered with long COVID for a year after, and um, and then it was after that COVID year that I was out hiking and uh, I was about maybe 50 feet or so from my vehicle and collapsed with a heart
Wow.
attack. I was
Wow.
in the mountains, so um, I, and this is the craziest part. I, I was quite a ways away from the city, knowing that even life flight wouldn't be there in time. I just, I called my husband and just wanted to talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and eventually it subsided and I was able to crawl through the bushes to get to my vehicle and I drove myself to the hospital.
Oh my gosh. Or how long was the drive?
I was about 50 minutes out.
And your husband must have been devastated as
He
well.
met me at the hospital.
Being so far away and not being able to like get
Yeah,
to you right away and
yeah,
assist you.
yeah.
And any, those moments are like major wake up calls.
Yes.
And part of me gets a little annoyed or angry at I don't know not at the medical system per se, but I feel like women have so many, men too, but especially women, who have so many. Heart disease is number one killer of women. And
Yes.
and nobody knows that. Nobody knows
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
Nobody's paying attention to that. We think, that's the exec older adult guy, overweight and angry, and boom. But it's happening to women and nobody's advocating for them, and they're going through menopause. And I was sharing with you earlier that, somebody on one of my Facebook posts where I talked about that some of you health coaches help with menopause, and this hater
Mhm.
was there talking about, well, menopause isn't a disease, you don't need to fix it. And no one's saying it's a disease, but I will say that stress is rampant. And yes, maybe in other cultures where people get support and they're not having to put out all the fires constantly 24/7. And when they have some more of the tools in place and some of the things that we're going to talk about that you use to turn it around, because you're clearly, on the other side of that now and able to help people way more profoundly. So potentially there was a reason for this, because you're able to help people, even more because of that, because you are a health coach. You now can help them more deeply. But um yeah, like, I think when you go to the doctor and they're like, you're just getting older, that's normal, that's what happens,
Yeah.
it's menopause, don't worry about it. And in the meantime, don't worry about it, but you got serious vitamin D deficiency, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, all these things. Like, that's not normal. And so that means that we got to unwind that. Innately, yes, we're all well, but we have to get back to that, get back on track, and
Yeah.
stop the runaway train, and go back into that, get up back on track with a better direction for
Mhm.
you. So
Yeah.
gosh, I can't imagine how. Anything else you want to share about that moment, like what went through your mind? Or sometimes you reevaluate what's your priorities in these, almost a near death experience, but when these, like, huge events happen, anything else that really just became crystal clear?
I just knew that I really needed to fix my life. But that I'm a sovereign individual and I am fully capable of healing and fixing my life.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that was like, wow, right? Like,
Yeah.
wake up, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting the image kind of like the rising of the phoenix, like, like, just like, I'm doing this. I am like, I can do this. Like, if I'm getting a second chance here, like, I'm going to do that. And so is that what led you to become a health coach?
It really is. I feel like, I've always been in that healing space. I love to help people feel better. I mean, feeling good feels good, right?
Mhm.
And it just, yeah, that was really my wake up call that that is what I wanted to do. I
Yeah.
needed to heal myself, but that is what I wanted to do to help other people to feel
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel good to feel good. And plus, once you've learned something, yeah, we should really clarify that. Clearly you're not 200 pounds, and may not be clear, but she's not.
I'm not.
So tell people, like, what's your health like now? Just so we kind of get we close the loop and let you know, hey,
Yeah.
this story has a happy ending, so it's all good. What's your life like now, health like now? And a follow-up to that is, what would you say are three core pillars or messages? I know you've spoken about this before, and sort of, now that you know what you know, there's like these three things that we really need to address if we're going to, you know, soothe and improve our hormones, balance them, reverse our risk of all of these things. So, what's your health like now? And then what are your three take-home messages that you've learned?
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like I did when I was in my 30s. My healthy weight, I feel really good. I'm about 140 right now. But the first 50 pounds came off literally within the first 6 months of this transformation.
Yeah.
Um, I was just driven
Motivated.
and
Yeah.
yeah, very motivated, and I was on the warpath to fix whatever it was.
Hmm.
But I'm full of energy. I exercise every day. I love lifting weights. I love jumping on the trampoline with my grandkids. There's just so many different things that I enjoy now that I couldn't enjoy just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece. It wasn't that long ago.
Yes.
So um, I think that's really that longevity is looking for that piece that really gives me longevity. It's not so much about quick weight loss and I just want to have all the energy in the world and I want to be 20 again. It's really not about that. It's finding that balance and that peace and joy in my life and helping myself on the path of longevity.
Hmm.
Um,
It's so good.
the key things that I have found that I use even with all of my clients is number one, stress reduction. Um, really focusing on, that walking that path of like making that appointment with yourself
Hmm.
for I call it my CEO appointment. I make this appointment with myself. It's every day. And I sit and I meditate and I get very clear on what it is that I want to do and what support I need to call in order to accomplish that. Um, the other thing would be, it's kind of incorporated into this is my mindfulness meditations, really kind of getting clear with myself and de-stressing. That's the biggest piece of that whole mindfulness meditation and that appointment with my CEO
Yeah.
is making sure that I'm supporting myself and reducing those stress levels and pulling in support that I need. Um, the second thing would be the digestion, working on my gut health, making sure that I am eating foods and able to absorb the nutrition. That's a big piece of it is when your body is in toxic overload, your cells can't even absorb the nutrition that you're bringing in. So
Hmm.
really focusing on that gut health piece. And then third and not last or least is the movement. I'm a mover. I love walking and hiking and moving and just being strong and yeah, I love it. It actually creates more energy for me when
Hmm.
I can move. It helps move energy through my mind, when I'm processing all these thoughts and ideas and projects that I want to do. But also just helps my body move, moving toxins through my lymphatic system. And so a lot of gems in those three pillars. So
Excellent. Oh, I love it. I love it. So who do you help now? So you're a health coach now,
yeah.
and that is how you've alchemized really your rather traumatic experience,
Mhm.
rock bottom moment. So now you're helping people. Who do you help? Who are you passionate about? How has that settled out for you?
So right now I am empowering and guiding women through hormonal imbalances.
Mhm.
This can be from the fertility years, people that
Mhm.
are dealing with, PMS and PCOS, up through perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
And you have your branding, I'll say, your company name, your branding. Tell us what that is, and if you have any explanation for what that is about, feel free to share with us too.
Sure. So most of my clients are between 35 and 65 years of age, and then dealing with the hormonal balances. My business is called Wild Beautiful Transformations, and it's pretty, it's near and dear. I just see life as such an incredibly wild and beautiful space, and to be able to help people transform from that place of illness and disease and just awkwardness and stress, to be able to have that hormonal harmony and be able to live their lives, their wild and beautiful lives, um, and just be light and lean and focused and aligned. That's my passion.
I love it. I was going to ask you, what do you like best about being a health coach? But is that's probably it? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yeah, I
Yeah.
really love just empowering people to find that space of transformation. And yeah.
Yeah. If what is something that you've learned working with clients and helping walk them through these transformations that are so rewarding? What's something that you've learned from them or through the process?
Oh wow. I I love looking back at the things that people go through, like really getting a good picture of their life and the hard things that they're dealing with, right? The challenges. And, we can do hard things. That's,
Mhm,
that's really
mhm,
what the amazing piece of it is
mhm,
being able to look back at what it was and look at now what it is,
yeah,
and just seeing that resilience and how we've been able to move through those challenges, and
mhm.
how magical our bodies are in that healing process. That's yeah, I life is amazing to me. Sometimes it's just so inspiring to work with these people that work so hard, just to see their transformations. That's
Yeah.
what I love.
It's so rewarding. It really is. And it's so inspiring too for people out there to know you don't have to suffer. Like somebody can go from where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was like this. We're just going down the roller coaster. There's more and more and more and more and more. Like it's just, like stop the incoming. I keep getting more diagnoses and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And to
Mm-hmm.
like just, to be able to go from that rock bottom and create this and then be able to help others. So if there's people, maybe they're listening and maybe they're going through menopause or maybe they're struggling with weight or one of the other laundry list of things that you had, what are some tips that you could
Mm-hmm.
share with them that maybe they could even implement like right away or today? Anything that you'd say like, okay, here's what I would recommend if they just want some quick free tips.
Absolutely. First, I would say, adjust when you're eating. Um, Keep your meal times in between sunset or sunrise and sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Don't eat after dark. Our bodies aren't meant to digest at that time frame. Um, you have plenty of time to digest the nutrients at night when you're sleeping. It's that rest and digest time, and it gives your body the rest that it needs. And changing what you eat, really looking at detoxing yourself in your life from the sugar, the bad fats, the processed foods. I know that that's, something that probably everybody in the world is talking about, or at least,
Mm-hmm.
most health coaches are going to be talking about that. But cleaning up your diet and just really starting to fuel your body. This is our vehicle through life, right? And you wouldn't put sugar in the gas tank of a Ferrari. So why are we doing it to our bodies?
Mm-hmm.
um, Feeding the microbiome, which is your gut, and making sure that you are giving it the nutrients that it needs in order to break down all the foods and process and absorb those nutrients. Um, Detoxing your life, that's part of that, removing the sugars, the bad fats, and the highly
Mm-hmm.
processed foods and chemicals. And then the foundation of it all is balancing those stress levels, making sure that um, you are taking time out to really connect with who you are in your inner space, in your heart. Um, Cortisol is not the enemy. Cortisol is a wonderful hormone that helps us get up and get moving and helps us accomplish the things we want to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely, when it's out of balance, can wreak havoc on our systems. And its BFF and partner in crime is insulin. So making sure that you're balancing those stress levels is really important to controlling some of those hormones.
I think that's those are really great, Cami. Thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that. And I think that's really important to really take note of. And I think people don't, I think people are so immersed and acclimatized to stress that they don't know they're in it and everybody else is doing it. So
Mhm.
you know, I think there's a lot of that that goes on. I don't think people even realize the stress level. It's kind of like when you're in a noisy room and you don't even realize it's noisy until you get in a quiet area,
Yes.
or, hot water. Like if you're in a hot
Mhm.
tub, like once you're in there, you're fine. But, at the beginning or, any of those things. And I think the baseline stress for everybody, I don't even think people realize how much a toll it's taking on our lives because it's inundating with our phones and the interruptions and
Mhm.
just constant light pollution even, and just like I really what you shared was huge, and I don't even know if people realize how important that is, and that's really those little levers of
Mhm.
digestion, stress, movement. uh
Yep.
I just learned recently a metaphor like small hinges swing big doors, right?
Yeah.
So little changes like that can make a huge difference in your life. And I think, you're a living testament to that. As somebody like yourself who has, decades of wellness and health experience, and who overcame really profound menopausal impact. Like
Mhm.
menopause hit you like a freight train
Yes, it did.
in the form of a heart attack and obesity. Like and to know you now, it's hard to know that what you've come through.
Mhm.
But what would you say, and you were on the other side of it, you're helping others. What would you say is the biggest myth people have when it comes to menopause?
Mm. Um, well, just being told that it's part of the aging process. And that there's really not a lot of help. They immediately want to get you into be on hormone replacement therapy, or it's like take these drugs or do that. And there really isn't. Those things are not really the fix, right? They put a
Mhm.
band-aid on the symptom, but they don't fix the root cause of what is going on in the body. And really controlling the cortisol and the insulin spikes is at that root.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that another thing is there's hormones, that hormones are just something that happens to us and we can't really control them.
Mhm.
Um, that's absolutely bunk.
Mhm.
It's a very much a controllable, it's like pre-diabetes. It is controllable. It is about our nutrition. It is about detoxing our bodies from the chemicals and the environmental stressors. Um, I was a type A personality, and I really I felt like I had to have control of everything. I had to control everything. And it was from like the way people were cooking or the way people were cleaning or the way, I mean, I was like controlling everything around me. And that, that definitely was a challenge to take that step back and just take that stress load. That was a stress load that I was putting on myself because I wanted perfection. I
Mhm.
wanted everything to be just right. But realizing that I I was kind of imprinting my own perception of perfection on people, and being able to peel that back and just say, you know what, however you cook food and chop your vegetables, it's how it's going to get done. It doesn't matter. So, um, or how people are cleaning or vacuuming, the house. My kids, all the poor things.
Yeah. Well, and I
um,
think people get trapped into that, like when you're
mhm.
under stress and then you can be hyper vigilant, hypercritical, and
Yes,
it's almost like you can't stop yourself. And I think all of us have had times when we realize like, whoa, we're holding on to like it
so
has to
tight.
be exactly like this because it's always been like this, and this is the way
Mhm.
I was taught it had to be. So it's a process of letting those things go. Yeah, yeah, very good. That's really
It's like hanging on so tight, I was strangling the life out of everything and everybody around me.
yeah.
So de-stressing, really. I know that um, that might just seem like such an out in left field idea for women who are dealing with menopause or hormonal imbalances. That
Hmm.
stress level is so sneaky. It
Hmm.
comes in where you least expect it, and it's just this a silent killer. It's a silent killer
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it will build and build and build until it's just out of control.
Yeah, no one's immune from that. Even if you spent decades in health and
Right?
wellness, that doesn't prevent you from being stressed or have significant health challenges. So, uh, just a shout out to our listeners and our audience. Thank you for tuning in. We still got lots of good stuff. You got to hear some of these transformational stories. But if you have questions for Cami, about her journey or something that you're struggling with, feel free to put that in the comments. Definitely go ahead and do that. And also, if you are someone who is a health coach looking to like, well, I have my own story like that. How do I get that out there and how can I help people further? In the description, you'll see a link about how to really ignite your health coaching practice that you can take a look at. So here's a question I'd love to ask is because this has been quite a journey, a personal journey, your own health journey. How have you and I just love health coaches because they are they're great learners but teachers as well, so they take things that they've gone through and then they use that. Yes, it helps their own life, but then they pass it forward and help somebody else. How have you grown as a person through being a health coach? What is that? What's different? What's improved for you?
Um, Definitely, I think number one thing that is has improved for me is the compassion and grace for myself.
Hmm.
And being able to use that compassion when I am helping people that are suffering with these challenges and feeling like they're at the rock bottom and that there isn't a path forward because there's so much information out there, good information and bad information. But having that compassion and empathy for the things that I have been through personally and being in that space, being able to hold space for people that are feeling that struggle and
Yeah.
feeling pain. But
Yeah.
I've always been the person that sees things from a higher perspective, and I'm able to break stuff down into small baby steps that are they're easier to follow. So that's a big piece in my coaching, and then just being very clear on my process forward.
Yeah, I think, as health coaches tend to be compassionate and they
Mhm.
tend to be compassionate for others. They tend to have compassion. They want to help people. They're very helping and
Mhm.
nurturing by nature. Um, but as you give that to someone else, I think the opportunity as a health coach is that you give yourself that compassion and that
Absolutely.
love and that forgiveness and just say, hey, you're doing the best you can. Nobody's perfect. We're just moving forward and just, really looking back with compassion, with grace, as you say. And I think that in itself is really healing up those scars and those wounds that are there. None of us gets through this life unscathed. But to be able to just like, it's okay, just kind of love on it a little bit. I think it's what other jobs, careers, professions can you do where you really have that opportunity to do it? And through the mirror of relationship, you will attract people that you're coaching. And as you're helping them, part of you is also telling it to yourself. It's like a good reminder, even remember as a doctor, when I would teach residents, having to teach these other young doctors, um, I'm teaching myself, I'm reminding myself, I'm reinforcing the lesson over and over again for myself too. So
Through teaching others, we become we are able to attain that mastery of craft,
Yes.
right?
Repetition.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely. And just really diving deep into, a topic. Yeah, excellent. If you had to go back and talk to your former self, um, what would you say? Because a lot of times after we've gone through something big, you're like, if you could just like transport yourself, and I'll let you pick the time when you go back, but what would be something that we'd tell ourselves? Because we tend to be very hard. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think so. We tend to be very hard on ourselves as we're going through some really tough times. And so if we were to reach back to ourselves, what would you say,
Wow. I think that I would probably go back to the time when I was just going through the immense amount of stress at work and being in that really caustic environment for me, I would absolutely say draw your boundaries.
Yeah.
If this is not good for you and it makes you feel yucky being here, like I was, getting up every morning and I hated going to work, like I would tell myself at that point, just stop. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a job, but there are a million other jobs out there that you could go find where you don't have to deal with this, you know, toxic, toxic relationships.
Yeah.
I think that may have changed the trajectory that I was on
Hmm.
by being able to get out of that situation. But I was just, I was in that space of I wanted to do a good job doing what I was doing,
Hmm.
and I wanted to be the best, and I,
Yeah.
wanted to control it all.
I can so relate. I would probably give myself the same advice. And I think the other like sentiment that ran through like was I'm not a quitter. I'm not a
Yes,
quitter.
right.
And I think maybe a little bit for women too, because you don't want someone to say you can't hack it because you're a girl. Like the last thing in the world I want ever to someone to say. And meanwhile, we're doing it with two arms tied behind our back and it's
Yes,
like this. But like so like okay, I'm strong, I'll show, I gotta be better,
yeah,
and so you stick with things that are just it's not right.
it's
And
really not worth
and
it.
yeah, exactly. And I remember learning, like, as you're going through self-development, and
Mhm.
you're learning that like wherever you go, there you are. So like if you run away from a situation and you haven't sorted it out, that it's just going to repeat itself. And
Yep.
I think I really took that literally to the level. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to stay in this cesspool and it's going to get all fixed because I'm just going to continually think happy thoughts. And the thing is, things did change over time, but it, it didn't need to take that long.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so I agree with you, but you don't have to draw up those boundaries. You don't have to put up with uh
Yeah.
you know toxic anything
Yeah. Yeah.
really.
And the
But
thing it
that
taught
comes
me,
a little bit with maturity. That's one of the
yeah,
gifts of
for sure.
being able to live to go through menopause, is one of the blessings that you
Yeah.
you have that
Yeah.
perspective.
Well,
um
I'm not done with it either. I'm still right in the thick of menopause. So
There
we're
you go. And
still,
navigating beautifully. So that, I
yeah.
mean, that's helpful too. That's helpful too.
Yeah.
Uh, my next question is my absolute favorite question, and I've been waiting for this one. And it's really because I know a little bit about some of these stories. So this is just my favorite thing to ask. So what I know is the role of health coaches is phenomenal. Like we're not even trying to do some things, and amazing transformations happen.
Yeah.
It's just happy accidents, not accidents. And because our body is one whole system, it's
Mhm.
holistic. It's not like, when you affect the heart, you affect the kidneys, you affect like we're all
Yeah.
connected all together.
Yep.
So uh, when health coaches have helped people with something, let's say menopause, there's always these amazing spin-off benefits that, collateral beauty, if we call it, like this other stuff that happens that we didn't even intend to happen. So share, if you can, or if you would, what are some of the spin-off benefits that you've seen when working with clients? This is my favorite part.
Um, well, so honestly, one of my very first clients, um, she was quite obese and dealing with some health issues. She had PCOS.
Mm-hmm.
She was a young woman and in a new relationship, and they were wanting children. And she had actually reached out to me so that she could lose weight and get healthier. But with the PCOS, they basically, she was told that she would probably not be able to have children. Um, we worked together for about a year,
Mm-hmm.
and just this last February past, she texted me and had expressed that she was actually expecting a child.
Awesome.
So,
So
those
wonderful.
moments, yeah, it's those moments that just, I remember the text message and I ran around the house screaming and yelling and being
And
so
like,
excited
and
for
it's
her.
like so good. It's like it works, it works. Like, so not
Yeah,
only does she lose weight,
yeah,
yes, she balances her hormones, but when you balance the hormones,
yep,
you can let nature take its course, as it were.
yes.
So that is just so fantastic. I mean, and anyone who's been in that position, I mean, that's just the best. And
Yeah.
so the ripple effect of the work that you do too is just immense. I know you got another couple of good, but
Couple
that one's
more,
good. I love
yeah,
that.
there was a couple more that were really awesome. I worked with a gentleman who, he was also overweight and pre-diabetic, and he, was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And he just wanted to work with me to learn how to eat better. And in fact, didn't even tell me that he was pre-diabetic. He just handed me a list of foods that his doctor told him to eat. And I looked at that list and I said, oh, we need to talk. You are pre-diabetic and you are not telling me the whole truth. So anyway, we got working together
And
over the,
did he say why he needed to lose weight, or why was he coming to you for weight loss, or was he coming to for diabetes?
he was coming to me for the pre-diabetes.
Okay.
But the problem was that with his weight, they wouldn't operate for the prostate cancer until he had lost the weight. So, and that was part of the whole not telling me the whole story
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning. But yeah, we dove into a better relationship with truth telling. And
Yes, that's
um,
part of it. Like
yeah,
denial is pretty interesting. Yes,
right.
yes.
And then within 9 months, he had lost, I want to say he had lost about 80 pounds in 9 months.
Wow.
His numbers, and as you probably know, A1C is one of the hardest numbers to change.
Mm-hmm.
It can take 9 months to even move it 1 point. So his numbers came down significantly. He lost the 80 pounds. He was ready to have his prostate cancer surgery. He's now cancer free and still living the lifestyle that we set up for him to live. And he's beautiful. I just living a beautiful life.
So awesome. And it's such a great example of the powerful role that a health coach can play. Like why, a lot of people don't want to, they shy away from diabetes or not diabetes, but weight loss. Like a lot of health coaches, they're like, I don't want to just help with weight loss. It can be life changing. It really can. And it is a natural byproduct of getting back into balance. It's just going to happen without, we're not, it's not a fad diet. You're not starving, but when you do it in a right way, in an anti-inflammatory way, like so many things improve. Such a good story, like to and also not like, vilifying the medical system either. Like that's a perfect way to work with the doctors. You operate on the prostate, but I'll get them ready so we can have the a surgery. It's so perfect. That's really the vision that I see health coaches playing. you know, and how we can all work together as part of an integrated team. So that's really great. I think you got one more in your pocket before we wrap
Yeah, there
up.
was one more, and I thought this was interesting because I think that people don't associate working with a health coach when they have heartburn, they're taking Tums or Prilosec or whatever to treat the
Yeah.
heartburn, the GERD, the acid reflux. Those are symptoms that are fairly popular in our
Yes.
society and our with our diet right now. But I worked with a gentleman who had a hiatal hernia, was born with it. He dealt with it all his life. He had GERD and acid reflux, and it had really wreaked havoc in his life quite drastically. He had been on acid blockers for over 30 years as a treatment of,
Mhm.
keeping the
Mhm.
stomach acid down.
Mhm.
He had an endoscope and found that he had what's called Barrett's esophagus, which is
Mhm.
a precancerous esophageal cancer where the stomach lining grows up into the esophagus, more as a protective barrier
Yeah.
because of the acid. And he was going to have the fundoplication, the stomach fundus surgery to kind of create that the esophageal sphincter, and I didn't feel good about the outcome of those surgeries. So I asked him, I says, just give me 6 weeks. Give me a focused, dedicated 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And he agreed. We worked together for longer than that, but within 3 weeks, he was completely off his medication that he had been on for 30 years.
Wow.
And he
Wow.
still to this day does not have issues with acid reflux, with GERD, with heartburn. It's a pretty amazing transformation.
Wow.
So
Guys, this is amazing.
yeah, just
So
give me six
somebody's
weeks,
like
guys.
30 years. Imagine that. Think of
Yeah,
yourself and go back 30 years and being on this medication
yeah.
that you just think you have to have. It's become
Mhm.
part of your identity.
Yeah. He
And you're
started it
like,
when he
give
was
me
18.
6 weeks. Give me
Yeah,
6 weeks.
give me six
And
weeks.
like in 3 weeks to be able to, I mean,
Yeah,
that is the power of well, you in particular. Let's just be specific on you. Maybe not any old health coach, but you, specific, focus, consistent, like
mhm,
just,
yeah,
follow me, just trust me, just follow me just for like
yeah,
a few weeks. Let's focus on it. And it's those simple things that you were talking about earlier. Like, it's like you didn't all of a sudden say, hey, maybe you should, I don't know, you got to jump around on one leg around the block. No, it wasn't that. Like, it's the
no,
same things, but it's about being consistent and diligent,
mhm,
attention to detail, knowing what foods are
yeah,
aggravating him specifically,
yeah,
what stressors are causing that and rippling through, because that's a big piece of it. All those things that you shared with us earlier, what a profound difference, So,
yeah,
just hats off. Like, people are, blessed to be a client of yours. I know you're busy and I know you got lots on the go, but they are absolutely blessed to be a client of yours, and on the receiving end of some of this incredible caring and compassionate, and and it did take an attack of your heart to
mhm,
really be able to like open it up for everybody else and to be able to help people as a health coach. So
yeah.
you kind of got birthed into health coaching the hard way, but we all appreciate you and the healing work that you do. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, ask you questions, ask about how could they work with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Uh, my website is great. There's literally a scheduling link right on my website. And that website is wild-beautiful.com. You can also find me on my business Facebook page, and that is Wild Beautiful Transformations.
Awesome. So the website is wild-beautiful.com. Check it out. Cami Kent, absolutely lovely to chat with you today. Thank you for making this time for us. The work you do is so important. Keep shining your light. And if you guys have questions that have come up, please put those in the chat. And if there is a health challenge that you are suffering with, like, you'll see how she mainly helps people with menopause, but we're talking prostate cancer, we're talking infertility, like all of these things that it's all there's a role for anybody. But if there's a specific challenge, I'm happy to scout out and bring on an expert in that field. So be sure to do that, like and subscribe and all of those great things. But I would love if you would check out this next story about this incredible healer and transformation who dealt with chronic disease and was able to get over it. And that was her journey into becoming a health coach. So check it out here. And with that, have a great week, everybody. And most of all, be good for you.